Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our celebration of the 238th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. We welcome all Marines, past and present, and all friends of the Marine Corps.
Lord, as we come together this evening to celebrate the birthday of the United States Marine Corps, we pause to reflect upon your many blessings and your presence in our lives. We recall the battle history of the Marine Corps as it reflects our people's fight for independence and our continuous struggle to preserve that hard-won liberty for our children. We remember those Marines and sailors that went before us, and we are thankful to you for their lives and for their heroism and sacrifice. And we are thankful, too, for our own comrades, and remember with sadness those we lost in the cause of liberty.
How could I know I would never hold you, never again in this world, but oh, sure as you breathe, I am there inside you. Oh, could I ever know?
Without you, how could I know where you'd have me go? How can I bear not to dream about you? How could I let you go?
How could I ever know?
We'll go down south, and see his people.
See my folks.
Won't they take to him like cats to cream?
Whoa.
Then we'll travel on from there.
California, who knows where?
And he will ride on the wings of a dream.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise now and welcome our guest of honor, a great American, a great Marine, General John R. Allen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated, please. What a great evening this is. Happy birthday, Marines. That's a pretty good hoorah. We'll work on that at the end. For more than a decade of conflict, war has revealed to us what Lord Moran already knew, that the young Marines of our Marine Corps are today courageous and indomitable in mind and in spirit and in body. And when America goes about its business tomorrow, on the 10th of November, 2013, and every day thereafter, ladies and gentlemen, it will not know what was done this day by her Corps of Marines in 100 unnamed places, by our precious young leathernecks who protected us when we slept. Indeed, most Americans will be happily unaware of the sacrifices of that day and the horrendous price paid that day for the freedom of our country and the freedom of Americans. Across the years, I've keenly felt their loss. Each one was very personal to me. In Iraq, my unit entered the fight in Al-Anbar during the most violent period in the most violent part of the war. And many of you here tonight remember those days well. Many of you were part of that violence. Every day in the Anbar province was a slugfest, from Al-Qaim in the north along the Syrian border to Garma in the southeast and then below Fallujah in that place just known to the Marines as the Zaidan. You'd have been very proud of the magnificent performance of those Marines. Each day, strapping on 100 pounds of body armor with ammunition, grenades, helmet, weapon, patrolling, operating, fighting in temperatures frequently in excess of 125 degrees. And in our armored vehicles, the temperatures were over 135 degrees. And God, it was hot. These kids were the best of us. And all of our Marines were in the fight. They were peerless. But our losses were high as we closed with to destroy Al-Qaeda and eliminate its odious and malignant forms in Al-Anbar. Those Marines could have done so many other things with their lives. Their lives were so full of promise. But they elected to move to the sound of the guns. They are our American heroes, and they represent all our Marines who serve today around the globe, whether afloat in the Western Pacific with the 7th Fleet, or on Okinawa, or in Australia, or in the Persian Gulf, or with the 6th Fleet in the Mediterranean, or standing post at Post 1 in our diplomatic missions around the world, or still serving in combat in Afghanistan. As I reflect upon my time commanding in Afghanistan, I watched with enormous pride as your young Marines transformed once again what they did in Iraq. They did again in the most unstable and seemingly irreconcilable area of Afghanistan. Over and over, the Marines of Regional Command Southwest and in the Helmand Province were asked to accomplish the near impossible. And over, they delivered. As I watched them in action, and I watched every component of the Marine Air Ground Task Force, as well as our far-flung special operators in some of the remotest areas of Afghanistan, I realized what I was watching was the emergence of the new greatest generation. And today, in the aftermath of my time in Iraq and in Afghanistan, I am convinced of it. So what about the future? Our Corps has come through the longest stretch of war and combat in its history, indeed of all American history. Its casualties have been many, and its equipment has seen hard service and battle far beyond its intended use and purpose. And it has been a long time since the Corps could burnish its stock and trade as the nation's force in readiness, the premier 911 force, which delivers combined arms, expeditionary warfare from the sea. So our Corps emerges into an uncertain future, one where we will continue to see failing and failed states, where strong men will victimize and slaughter their populations, where economies will underperform and some will collapse utterly, where pent-up frustrations of race and religion and ethnicity will continue to boil over in furious civil unrest, abetted by the growing youth bulges in nearly every developing country, from India in the West, across the Middle East, and through North Africa. And where we face the very real potential of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. But ladies and gentlemen, it would be a grave mistake to imagine that at the conclusion of this long period of war, that the conditions have been established that will favor a period of sustained stability, a period where traditionally, in a post-war era, our services can reset and our economy can recover from wartime spending. We will not get that respite, and our nation and our way of life will continue to be sorely pressed internally by severe economic challenges and externally by a security environment less rather than more favorable to America and our Western interests. We're entering a period of uncertainty, ladies and gentlemen, and a future of challenge. During most of the modern history of the United States, our naval forces, and among them the Marine Corps, has been the force first and most frequently committed by the United States in response to crisis and emergency. The use or the threat of the use of Marines has staved off innumerable larger crises. And if we had to fight and the wolf was at the door, your Corps and your Marines were the known quantity, that certain remedy for the crisis. So in a world less stable and in an environment of great austerity, the demands on our Corps and our young Marines will be unrelenting. And we will do our duty as we always have. The good news is that from top to bottom, our ranks swell with combat experience. Our officers are talented, they're intelligent, and they're inspiring. Our staff NCOs and our NCOs are whip-smart and uncompromising leaders. And our young Marines have never come to the Corps from better stuff or been better trained. Our martial spirit has never had a finer edge, and the enemy has learned once again, to his eternal misfortune and great unhappiness, that in battle, the United States Marine is indeed, as my dear friend Jim Mattis once said, the enemy's worst nightmare. The Corps has always been held in special significance by America, nearly held in reverence. The individual Marine was and remains the quintessential modern fighter. There is a spiritual dimension to our Marines which makes them indomitable in crisis and irresistible in battle. They are hard and enduring beyond belief, and a Marine unit in the attack is an incomparable martial machine of destruction. By any measure, Marines are a breed apart. Ronald Reagan once said, "Some people will live their entire lives wondering whether they ever made a difference." Marines never have to worry about that. So for the Marines and their precious families and our dear friends who are with us tonight in this audience, we celebrate our glorious past. It's not just our right as Marines, it's our duty. And we also celebrate the magnificent performance of our Corps in more than a decade of war across the far-flung reaches of American influence. And we look clear-eyed into the future, which will be rife with challenges. But we know this: our Corps has always been most ready when our nation was least ready. That will not change. And we were, and we will remain, that certain force for the uncertain future that we face. It has been so for 238 years, and it will be so forever. Happy birthday, Marines. Semper Fidelis, and God bless America.
The first piece of cake is presented to our guest of honor in outstanding recognition of his service to our country. The second piece of cake is presented to the eldest Marine present this evening, demonstrating the honor and respect accorded to experience and seniority. The oldest Marine tonight is Major George Parker, born on 19 October 1918. The third piece of cake is given to the eldest Marine to pass to the youngest Marine present, symbolizing the passing of traditions from the eldest to the younger. The youngest Marine present is Corporal Desron Wren, who was born on 8 September 1992 in Dallas, Texas.